According to Rubricable, my LEGO collection is worth about $17,000. According to Brickset, which tracks condition, it's worth quite a bit less. And according to some of my friends and family, it is worth, well, pretty much nothing at all. But no matter what way you slice it, I have a lot of LEGO. Some built, some loose, some new sealed in box, and some missing. And I think it's high time to check in on my collection, see what I've got, and see what needs replacing after nearly 35 years of play and love. That's right, we're going to be building every single minifigure in my LEGO collection. Let's do this. Brickset has a tool where once you input all of the minifigures and sets in your collection, you can organize them by various overarching categories, themes, sub-themes, years, etc. We're going to start by organizing my collection into large overarching categories, then themes, then sub-themes, so everything is nicely clustered together. It's a collection after all, not a damn zoo. Jumping in real quick from the editing bay. After working on this video for now multiple actual weeks, I've realized that I simply have way too many minifigures to squeeze into one epic video. So I'm making the decision to split it up into a little mini-series. On top of that, for your sanity and mine, I'm going to be limiting myself to 10 seconds maximum of screen time per figure. Maybe less if I don't have much to say, but no more than 10 no matter how collectible the minifigure is. Alright, thank you. And speaking of collectibles, let's dive into our first category. Starting off with CMF Series 3, the very first one I collected. Unfortunately, the hairpiece I have is not correct, so we're just gonna put it over here. I seem to have lost the original, but the skirt is cool. I remember really wanting to get the elf prints out of this series, but unfortunately I just drew the hula girl and the rapper and decided to call it a day. Jeans are cool. Moving up to Series 4, this is not the correct helmet piece for this figure, but the mask just goes on something pretty much like it. It came with my very first pair of skates that I owned, and also my very first set of armor. Next up is the werewolf. I have 2 of this figure, and to this day, I use this hairpiece whenever I'm trying to make an elf, particularly one who has darker skin. Jumping ahead to Series 22, I actually opened this in a blind bag on the YouTube channel. I really like a lot about this figure. I like the helmet, I like the neck piece, and I love the wheelchair. Series 24 is the first one that I really got into collecting as an adult. I don't have a whole lot to say about this figure, except that the torso is so awesome with the arm printing that I use it as my sig fig. This one, on the other hand, I have a lot to say about because it's one of my favorite figures of all time. The magnifying glass, the cloth piece, and that piece in his hand, it's not just a fish, it's a red herring! This next figure, there's not a whole lot to say about him. He's pretty basic. I love using his legs for fantasy characters, but people bought a lot of them, including me, because he came with the goat piece after so many years. Mushroom girl, whatever could it mean? I have 2. They're adorable. I really love the tattoo on this figure's arm. Other than that, not super remarkable, but that tattoo is really cool. And I have 2. This one really bums me out because she has some really cool purple wings that I seem to have lost, even though I have a drawer for wing pieces. So here's a picture of what it's supposed to look like. Very cool, cool legs. I like trains. This one is either the first or the second appearance of this dual molded sword that showed up in a bunch of dream sets. I collected a bunch of these because they're really cool fantasy minifigures and fit in with the D&D series we'll talk about later. The hearing aid on these ones is a really cool piece of inclusion. Other than that, mostly just an awesome little resident for any LEGO city. And now we're into Series 26, which is the first one that I completed, starting with this astronaut. So many cool pieces in this, so many parts, and a really cool backpack piece that can be used for any spacewalker. Next up is the Imposter, mostly just a resident of your LEGO city until... spooky. Literally the GOAT of the series. No notes. Excellent backpack piece. Excellent fedora piece. Look at this little guy! LEGO's been doing this thing for recent CMF series where they create paired versions of previous figures that have come out. This is the female pair for Series 17's Retro Space Hero. And this is an excellent update of the M-Tron Powerlifter from way back when. Here's an original, just so you get a comparison of what they look like. I miss this trans neon green face piece, but you know what? They did it with a print, so it's still pretty cool. If you bought this figure, I'm willing to bet it was only for the pink space baby, but honestly, the transparent blue arms are awesome, and I wish that we saw them in more sets. Another absolute goat of the series. Unfortunately, I seem to be missing his torso. Update, never mind, I found it, and I love the space details. This one is near and dear to my heart because this is an update of an Ice Planet figure, also from way back when, and I'm still trying to track down an original one of these figures, but she lives in my Ninjago city next to the ice cream shop. Man, Alfred's looking rough these days. I hope someone's doing something really cool with the leg pieces on this minifigure. I hope there's gotta be a really cool application for them. God, there's just so much to love about this figure. There's so much detail. Look at that giant headpiece that feels like it's right out of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. You've got these cool wing pieces that don't look like anything else. And this is my other favorite figure of all time. He sits right next to the detective next to my desk. Transparent glitter purple, Greek mythology motifs, the Orion shield. So cool! This series had a lot of modern updates of classic space figures. This one is from Blacktron 2. It's a Blacktron mutant. Lots of cool parts. And now we're on to Series 27, which is the last, most recent regular series of CMF figures. Starting with this one, Hamster Girl fan. I don't know who likes these, but there they are. And on the flip side, you have the Wolfpack Beastmaster. You could not find this figure anywhere. I was lucky to find two with this fuzzy cloth cape, a reimagined fantasy character from way back in the day. It's getting the same love that all the space characters did in the last series. Another big win for disability representation in this one. The prosthetic hand on this figure is very, very, very cool. The piece came out in 2024, and it's always awesome to see new hand and arm molds. This one's very cute. I think it's kind of playing on the idea of collecting stuffed animals, which also makes sense because these are in a LEGO Collectible Blind Box series. So, you know what? I understand this one. And this one, just forget everything I said about the hamster girl. Everything about the animal fans makes a whole lot more sense when they're dinosaurs. And the longboarder is just one of those figures that feels like it was created to give some extra detail to the citizens of your LEGO city. I love the ripped jeans in this one. I love the backpack, the punk hat. Awesome. Cupid does very little for me, I'm gonna be so for real, but at least I have a blonde version of that tussled J hairpiece, so if I ever want to make a custom Adolin Colin, if you know, you know. Showing off that we can do waist capes in the year of our Lord 2025. We just don't, I guess. Star Wars fans really feel this one. The internet has dubbed this one the Twink, and I don't know, 2019 me is feeling very seen right now. 2022 me is feeling very seen by this one. I love this so much. The Steampunk Inventor is probably my second favorite of this series. I love the handpiece, the hat piece, perfect. And the Jetpack Racer, honestly, was the one that I was expecting to really love and ended up underwhelming me. There's some fun references in the logos on the figure, and the dual-molded helmet is cool, but overall, doesn't do much for me. And here we are rounding out Series 27 with the Boogeyman. I really expected his face to be less flat. There's not a whole lot of reusability for any of these parts here, but he's cute. And here we are at the one that a lot of people have been waiting for, the D&D CMF series. All of these came with two heads, a male and a female one for every single one. I'll show both of them here. This series took off like nobody could have predicted. I mean, I guess you could have predicted it, given that the giant LEGO D&D set had just come out earlier that year, and here were a bunch of mostly generic races and classes that came with gendered heads, so you could swap them out however you wanted to customize your character, also however you wanted. This Gold Dragonborn was so hard to get, and I actually ended up with 3 of them completely accidentally. Another really cool detail you'll notice about all of these D&D minifigures is that there is no skin printing on any of the torsos, or most of the legs. The intentionality behind here, I suppose, is that you can mix and match so that any race can be any class and any gender that you'd like. So, you know, they give you the Dwarf Barbarian, the Githyanki Warlock, the Tiefling Sorcerer, the Dragonborn Cleric, but you can mix and match any of those heads, torsos, parts to make your custom D&D character. And then there are, on the other hand, named characters like the Illithid. You have Strahd from the Curse of Strahd module. Without getting too much into D&D and the weeds behind different named characters, different modules, etc., you get a bunch of different options, both in terms of characters that you might want to collect that obviously would never end up in a set, and various customizable options to go with the giant $500 D&D set that is also a playable module. This is the Lady of Pain. She has a rubberized head and a really cool cloth piece for the cape. Zaz Tam has a regular classic skeleton skull print on his little transparent red piece there. Bunch of great detailing on the torso. Tasha is my fiance's favorite character. She's even got her little scar on her face in the shape of Baba Yaga's foot. Alright, now let's go back in time a little bit and let's talk about licensed CMF sets. The first one that we're going to look at here is the Harry Potter Series 1 set that came out in 2018. I think this one falls into a little bit of a weird spot because CMF sets that are licensed usually exist to provide characters or versions of characters that you wouldn't normally find in an actual set, or for whatever reason can't be produced, won't be produced in any other situation, so they're done like this. And all of these figures are, well, I won't say generic, they do have a very appreciated amount of detail to them. They could just be in anything. Marvel, on the other hand, takes a slightly different approach with their CMF series. This is the Marvel CMF Series 1 that came out in 2021, and they used it as an opportunity to capitalize on the success of the Disney Plus shows that were coming out, particularly ones that had alternate versions of characters that didn't necessarily warrant full sets. So here we see the White Vision from WandaVision, we see the Zombie Hunter Spidey from Marvel's What If, as well as this Zombie Captain America, and the T'Challa Star-Lord, also from the What If series, that weren't really big enough to warrant more. Marvel CMF Series 1 was so phenomenally popular that they were back just 2 years later with Series 2, featuring Agatha Harkness from WandaVision. Here is Moon Knight from, obviously, the TV show Moon Knight, and look at the detail on this figure. Dual molded legs, side printing on the legs, arm printing, cloth cape, phenomenal. Mr. Knight, a little bit less so, but his costume was simple enough that this works, and thank goodness they included his little fish. We have the Werewolf from Werewolf by Night. A much needed update to the Hawkeye minifigure from his show. Goliath from Ant-Man and the Wasp. Probably my least favorite figure of this series, just because he had so little screen time. And Storm from X-Men 97. Phenomenal fabric work on this figure. Oh, and who could forget the most detailed, accurate Wolverine figure that we've ever gotten, surpassing even the one that would come later in the more recent X-Men Mansion set. Over on the DC side, we have more of those characters who aren't likely to show up in other things, like this Aquaman with the hook hand from the 90s comics, very specific. We have the Jay Garrick Flash from the 1940s comics. I have a friend who went out and manually felt around in paper bags until she found this one just for me. And Batmite, featuring the cover of the original Detective Comics book where the modern Batman first appeared. Very niche, very cool. Red Hood, also from the same series. The mask is a little bit scratched up on mine, but that's okay, we love him anyway. And then we start getting into the weird ones, thanks to the Lego Batman movie. We have Black Vulcan from the 70s show Super Friends. Never going to show up anywhere else, but I love that he has a minifigure. And also, unfortunately missing his cape, we have Glamrock Batman, also from the Lego Batman movie series. That gave us just a bunch of weird and wacky versions of popular DC characters. The LEGO Ninjago movie didn't give us very much, but it did give us a couple completionist figures to complete full sets that had appeared elsewhere in my LEGO Ninjago collection. We have the white Woo Crew Nia figure, and we have this version of Lloyd from the movie that has arm printing, making him just a little bit nicer than the base version. There are a couple more just like very specific series that I just recently am finding out even existed. The Simpsons is one, the Muppets is another. I have a couple characters that a couple friends have gotten for me, and I'm really looking forward to completing the set, but before I do, I want to get a proper Muppet Show themed case that I've seen knocking around the internet. I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm looking forward to collecting all the Muppets figures. Last but certainly not least, let's talk about the Disney series, of which there have been 3. And so many of these figures, like this Hades one, have unique molds that just create so much... Ugh, I don't even want to look at this one. This one's my least favorite minifigure of all time. Why does he have a nose? Anyway, like I was saying, even in this one, so many unique molds. You can see so much of that budget that comes from a CMF series, costing a little bit more on average per minifigure, that really goes into creating unique pieces, unique fabric elements on both Jiminy Cricket and the Queen here, that really elevate these figures to a level you could never have in just a regular set. And that's going to do it for all of the blind box collectible minifigures that I own. They've changed a lot over the years, going from bags to boxes, from kind of generic citizens to hyper-detailed licensed figures with custom molds. As I mentioned briefly before, these figures always have an increased budget, since they're sold MSRP at $5, which is quite high when you compare them to the amount of minifigures you get in a $20 set, or even a $10 set back in the old days. That budget means that no matter what the character is, these are the cream of the crop when it comes to details, prints, new molds, and I feel like this is the series that pushes the mold, pun not intended, for minifigures across the LEGO catalog. I hope you enjoyed going through them with me, and stay tuned through the coming weeks as I go through all my minifigures from other themes, hopefully your favorite. Here's a sneak peek of next week's theme. Until then, thank you for watching.